Welcome everybody to the Vodafone room. Just let everyone get in and choose their room.
No problem.
A few more people waiting. There's just a few more people who are picking their room, but I think we can probably start going ahead and don't want to lose any of your time, Anisha. So yeah, feel free to kind of take it away and discuss all things Vodafone.
Brilliant. Thanks, Emma. And welcome everyone to Vodafone's breakout room. Super excited to be able to speak to you, to have you join us today for this session, and to also share with you the different opportunities that we have. And also one of the questions that does get asked quite often, when can I apply? What does the application process look like? What are some of the top tips that you want to share with us? So really happy to be sharing all of those with you today. And we'll leave some time at the end for answers, because I do for question and answers, because I do understand that, you know, you might have certain questions that you might want to ask me as a youth attraction and recruitment lead. So someone who leads on this project, you might want to ask some questions to some of our apprentices who you heard from earlier a few minutes ago, and we'll be happy to help you out and to answer all of these questions that you have. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to start a little bit before going into the apprentice side or the apprenticeship side. I want to first share with you a little bit more on who we are as an organization. Now, you know, feel free to click on, you know, raise your hands, or feel free to click on any kind of reactions for me to see when we speak of the word, or when we say Vodafone, what do you perceive us as? So you can type it in the chat box, but if you think of a SIM card or a network, I'd like you to, you know, click on one of the reaction buttons to just get going in terms of how you think or how you've been feeling about Vodafone as an organization. So feel free to press on any react buttons, or let me know via chat your thoughts on when you think of Vodafone, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? Okay, so Taiba has added the word innovative. Phone network connection, MNC, absolutely. Those are traditionally the kind of words that we do tend to see. Irina's mentioned connections, absolutely. Phone network connection. So connections, the word network, the word phone, this is how we're traditionally perceived. And it's true. Our purpose for the world is to connect for a better future. So it's all about connecting people, connecting 600 million customers that we have across the world to all of our services, to all of our solutions. But at the same time, there's a lot of tech, you know, Taiba mentioned innovation there. There's a lot of innovation that happens within Vodafone. Technology at Vodafone isn't restricted to just your network cables, isn't just restricted to your SIM card. You know, we have Internet of Things in the organization. We look at the 5G technology that's coming out and helping businesses before it's helping customers like you and me at the moment. So really a huge scale of operations operating over 22 countries globally. That's our footprint at the moment. So as an organization, we are a technology communications company. And the work we do is that we want to make sure that we are connecting the world for a better future. And that's our purpose. So every company tends to have a purpose, which is the why they're in business. And for us, our purpose is underpinned by three key pillars, if you will. The first one is digital society. When we think of a digital society, we're lucky to be sitting in cities or in a country where a lot of pockets are 5G enabled. But as a company, we operate in countries where people still don't have access to a smartphone. So when we think of a digital society, we think of how is it that we're making sure everyone's on a digital journey with us. That includes, if some of you might have heard of our M-Pesa service in Africa, where we're connecting those who don't have access to a bank to digital banking services which are secure. That's the digital society pillar. We have planet. you'd be surprised to know that technology companies like Vodafone, so we hold our hands up to it, our footprint, our carbon footprint is that much as the whole of the Netherlands. So our carbon footprint actually equates to that of a country. So what are we doing to make sure that we are protecting the planet at the same time? So that's one of our promises, that by 2025, we're going to halve our planet impact. And at the same time, you might have heard that as of July this year, 100% of our European network is being powered by renewable sources. And finally, inclusion for all. Today's event, Women in Tech, it holds a special place for us as a company. We want to make sure that women in tech are heard, they're supported, that they are celebrated. And especially, I would say that we want to be known as the best employer for women generally by 2025. And it's not just something that we are aiming at, it's also the activities that we do within the business that enables us to do so, or enables us to shout about it. You might have heard of the Change the Face campaign that Vodafone has launched, and it was one of the founders, and now it was presented to the United Nations General Assembly a few weeks ago, where signatories, other companies have decided to join us. And what is the Change the Face campaign? It's changing the face of technology. When you think of technology, you often think of a man, or you often think of someone who is white, and then you have to think that there's a shift, because the people who make technology are all different. We all come from varied backgrounds, and I think that's important, and that's celebrated at Vodafone, that we all come from different backgrounds, and the fact that inclusion for all isn't just restricted to our employees, but also to the communities that we're impacting, to the partners, to the co-partners that we're working with, and for the customers that we're making a difference in the life of. And I guess as a company, we believe in 4 key elements. Firstly, we always think of our customers in everything that it is we do. Secondly, we think of innovation. So how are we always taking risks, trying to innovate? How are we experimenting? How are we learning fast from it? And how are we working together? So we might be based across so many different countries across the world, but how are we coming together to make sure that we are achieving all of these 4 elements? Now, this one I mentioned especially because that's what we look for. When someone applies to us, when someone sends in their application, no matter at what level it is. So you might be a school leaver thinking of joining our apprenticeship. We'll think of you within these 4 elements. How are you demonstrating the spirit of Vodafone? If you're coming to us from university, a similar story, we will think of how are you matching these 4 key elements of the spirit of Vodafone. I did mention that diversity and inclusion is key. When we are at work, we want everyone in the workplace to feel that they belong in the workplace. We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to be your own true self and bring your true self with you to work. And because of that, we have lots of employee networks, including the Multicultural Inclusion Network, the Ready Parents Carers Network, the LGBT plus Friends Network. We have Women in Tech, Women in Business, Votability, and all of these networks tend to come together to make sure that we are in a workplace where everyone feels supported. And we're also being recognized externally as well, as an apprenticeship provider, as an apprenticeship company, but also as one that really truly values the youth it has in its company. And I'd say we are around 30,000 youth members globally across Vodafone. So you'd be joining a very large family of youth into the company if you were to come in with one of our apprenticeship programs, which very nicely leads me on to our apprenticeships. So just as we started, I showed you a quick snippet on what it is like and why you should consider an apprenticeship with Vodafone. Here's a little bit more from us.
If anyone was to say to me, I'm thinking of doing it, I would absolutely say do it. It has been the best decision I ever made. You're doing a completely normal job within Vodafone, but then you get this massive benefit on the side that you're studying towards another degree, and you can use that to go so much further in your career as well.
If you feel you want to get into the industry earlier, or you want to explore your options besides a university, I would say definitely explore the options.
It's going to open up so many other doors for you that you can't come up with yourself. So you've got to just jump in there and see what's out.
And I think something that you might have noticed there, we have our campuses. So, those of you who might be based around the Berkshire area, you might have seen that we put in a photo of our Newbury campus. So we have different locations, even within the UK, where we are based, whether that's London, whether that's Newbury. So those are the options for you. In the last year, of course, we have all been working remotely as well. So we do have that flexibility. We want to make sure that when you are doing your apprenticeship with us, that you have all of those benefits, I would say, in terms of that flexibility, also in terms of your development, whether that's personal and professional when you're with us at Vodafone. So now, in terms of what are the different apprenticeships that are available? So we know that our apprentices, tend to bring in that innovation that we need within the company. But also, when they bring in this innovation, we are supporting them with upskilling them to make sure that they have the right skills, that they make their first mark in the fields that they're joining. And of course, when it comes to the time of their offboarding and finding a permanent role within the business, they've had that experience that speaks for itself in terms of how they have grown throughout the apprenticeship with us. So we have a few different areas where we have level 6 degree apprenticeships available. So there's software engineering. So you heard from some of our software engineering apprentices earlier, network engineering, project management, human resources, data analyst, cybersecurity. So across the year, we do open for applications on the 1st of December this year as well. We will be opening for applications on the 1st of December. If you are interested, I'll pause on this slide for just about a moment. If you are interested, you could just bring up your phone, you could scan this QR code, which will take you to the register your interest button that we have for Vodafone. So you can register your interest for our apprenticeship programs. What that means is that when we do open for an apprenticeship, for our apprenticeship scheme this year, you'll be the first to find out that we have opened and thereby submit your application. So I'll keep the screen open if you wanted to bring your phone out and quickly do a quick scan. And in the meanwhile, have a look as well at the different kind of courses or the different apprenticeships that we have available. So that's mostly tech, as you can see, software engineering, network, project management, cybersecurity. One of them is the new one, which is human resources. That's the first time Vodafone's going ahead with a new apprenticeship degree. So have a look on our website as well, and you'll be able to find out more. Now, one of the questions that, again, quite an asked question, which is, what does the application process look like? So firstly, you'll submit your initial application form. Here, we will determine your eligibility to the program. This is on our success factors page. So you'll see the link, you'll be able to go there. It takes 10 to 15 minutes, not long, to finish that initial application form. We then move in. If you are eligible, we'll be inviting you to our online assessment. So this online assessment is a few games that you would play, the tests, a few game tests that you would play, I would say, and also video interviews. So it's just a one-way video interview where you'd get questions asked on why do you want to apply for Vodafone. So if you're thinking about applying, think about what's your motivation. How can you elaborate on your motivation? How can you be certain of what your motivation is for the company? If you're successful in the online assessment, which I'm sure you will be, you move on to the assessment center phase, which is a virtual assessment center that we will be having. There'll be 3 different exercises that you do on the day. There'd be a group exercise, there'd be a potential focused interview, and then a presentation based around the stream that you're applying to. Now, what do I mean when I say potential focused interview? At Vodafone, we believe that the skills that you have, we are going to support you in honing them. We're going to support you in building them. So we're looking at your potential when you're applying to us. We're looking at your potential, your future potential, to see where you can get to and how we can help you get to that when we are screening you, when we are doing all of these interviews with you. Once you've completed the assessment center, the offer process as well is relatively quick. quick. Within 7 days, you will be hearing from us in terms of what was the outcome of your application. We've had our cohort of apprentices join us just last week. So on the 27th of September, the 2021 apprentice cohort joined us, around 60 of them. And honestly, I was a spectator to it. My colleague Reese here had organized it. It was an entire festival themed induction that they had. And also it gave them the opportunity to network with all of the other incoming apprentices, learn more from some external providers within the first week itself, and also start preparing towards understanding what's required from them out of their degree. So a little bit on the program. Apprenticeship programs with Vodafone tend to last anywhere between 3 to 4 years. It depends on which program you're going for. But you stay within that one program for the entirety of your apprenticeship. Now, what's the benefit of that? The benefit of it is that you're really getting a lot of information, but at the same time, a lot of knowledge in that one specific area. And at the same time, you're getting to work on different projects. So you're still building on a varied amount of skills while being in the same role for the 3 to 4 years that you are on the apprenticeship program. 80% of your time on the apprenticeship degree program would be towards your day-to-day working. So that's where you'd be learning from. And then 20% would be dedicated to your university studies that you would be doing for the degree qualification of the program. So you have lots of development opportunities. We have talks on growth mindset, on how you're exploring your future. We have the skills, career networking skills as well that we share with you, and then inclusion for all. So how can you also make those contributions in terms of your time here at Vodafone? Performance. So you will always have your future talent team. So my team would be supporting you during your application phase, and who will be, making sure that when you are an apprentice with us, you feel supported throughout the time, and that you feel that your development is looked after. So you will have your future talent team supporting you. You'll have your line managers supporting you as well. And also a huge cohort of apprentices who are on program with us while you're with us as well. So you always have a team to fall back on. What's other bits on offer? So when we think of the other bits on offer, so of course the standard, your IT equipment, so your laptop, your phone, 28 days of annual leave, additional charity leave, because you have those opportunities to go out, volunteer for whatever cause is special to you with that additional charity leave. Retail discounts are available. There are structured L&D, other programs outside of your learning that you can partake in, flexible working, as we've already mentioned, and a starting salary mainly of 21,500. And I think, some of our apprentices mentioned this, not just from Vodafone, but outside as well, that an apprenticeship is an opportunity for you to earn while you're learning. For you to earn while you learn and take accountability from day one. I think that's the premise of what an apprenticeship is at Vodafone. And I guess in terms of eligibility requirements, so that's often a question that's asked. So we do require that you've lived in the UK for a minimum of 3 years, that you are 18 or older as of the 1st of September 2022, if you are applying to next year's intake. The right to work in the UK, to not be in full-time education, because of course you will be doing the degree apprenticeship with us, so you'll be working towards that degree. Not holding existing qualifications at the same level or higher level in a similar subject. So, for example, if you were doing a subject like humanities if you did a subject like humanities in university, and then you decided that I want to go into tech, I want to be a woman in tech, well, you can still make that decision. And that would be a good qualification to have, because it's not the same or it's not the higher level of a similar subject. So you'd still be able to apply. And then, of course, there are certain subject requirements based on some of the programs. For example, you might see in software engineering, you might need an A level in maths or ICT, whereas with other subjects like human resources or project management, it can be any A levels that you've had. And finally, GCSE. So GCSE or an equivalent for English and Maths would be a grade C or a 4 in the new format. So those are some of the eligibility requirements. And I thought to end on that, because I do know that there tend to be questions stemming from it. But just don't think about the eligibility slide. Think of the other slides as well that we've shared. These are the opportunities that we have at the moment. And one that I wanted to highlight before I stop sharing my screen was actually that we're open for Code Like a Girl. Now, Code Like a Girl is one of our initiatives for 14 to 16 Reese, it is 16 to 18-year-olds that we have open at the moment. So it's in the October half term that we will be running Code Like a Girl. It teaches you some technical skills, which helps you build websites. So, you know, it teaches you skills including HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and it's a fantastic opportunity for you to just have your first steps towards that STEM focused career or being that woman in tech. So applications are closing next week, but I'd say I'd put this in the chat box for you to actually start applying to. Reese, if you can add that in, please. Thank you. Reese is right here in the office with me. So I was just mentioning that it's great if you can add the Code Like a Girl application form in as well. So it's a fabulous opportunity for you to get involved. And it's one that I believe in 2020, it had helped 26,000 girls across the world because of Vodafone's initiative of Code Like a Girl. So it's something that all of our countries do it, so all of our markets, as we call it, whether that's Spain, whether that's Egypt, whether that's the UK, we all run Code Like a Girl because that's our contribution, right? We want to make sure that women in STEM are seen, heard, and celebrated, as I mentioned. So those are a few initiatives that I wanted to share with you from Vodafone, and very happy to take on any questions that you have.
That was brilliant. Thank you for that, Kanisha. I think, yeah, certainly got a really good impression of what Vodafone do, but also, you know, how committed you are to women in the tech industry. It's not just something you guys say, is it? It's so deeply rooted. Are there any questions from anybody? I have had a couple come through directly to me on the chat, if I can get us started.
Yeah.
So I've had one asked, how many apprentices are you hiring this year? How many opportunities are there for people to get onto the courses?
It varies based on the subject that you're applying to. It varies based on the stream, but as a around 60 to 65 apprentices each year we hire onto our programs.
So lots of opportunities for people to get involved then.
Absolutely.
I had another question as well that asked, after the degree course, what opportunities are there to stay with Vodafone, or is that where your Vodafone journey ends?
No, absolutely not. So after you've completed your apprenticeship program, we encourage you to actually offboard into a permanent role in the company. We support you with that offboarding as well, so that you can find a role that suits you best, and you stay with us. The reason why you know, we have our apprentices is because we quite honestly, we cherish their input. I see Vivian, I see Anugraha, Laura, Anushka, Tenny. You know, when I think of our apprentices who joined us for today's session as well, truly, you know, individuals who are making a big difference to what we do as an organization, which we're really thankful for, and we want to keep them and do everything to keep you in the business even after you've completed the scheme.
Amazing. I've had a question from Apura in the chat who's asked, is there an upper age limit to applying for an apprenticeship?
No, there's no age limit. So I guess as long as, you know, you meet some of the requirements, for example, let's say you've done a degree in humanities at some point and you think that it's now time for you to experiment and get into tech, absolutely, by all means, there's no age limit that we restrict you from.
Brilliant. Perfect. Hopefully that answers your question, Apura. It's a question from me as well, actually, Kanisha. We've spoken a lot before about your campus at Newbury, which just looks amazing. So firstly, I wonder whether you'd be able to tell us a little bit more about the campus and any of the apprentices, whether you're working there and how you find sort of campus life, but also in kind of this, post-pandemic world that we live in, how busy is the campus and where could our kind of future apprentices expect to be based?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in Newbury campus for me is, I'd say, one of my favorite elements about working in the company. When you get to the Newbury campus, it's almost as if you are in a big college or you are in a big university campus area. Lots of different buildings, a beautiful, I'd say, canal-ish going through the campus. There's on-site facilities, including your standard gym, but also a great canteen, and buses that run from like the Newbury station onto the campus for Vodafone employees, for Newbury as well, because Newbury is known as a typical Vodafone town. So you'll always have people living in Newbury as well who are based in or who work for Vodafone. So I'd say in terms of your question on with the pandemic or the post-pandemic, what are we seeing? I think we are getting back to offices. I think there is that trend where we are seeing that our colleagues are going back. I'd say 2 to 3 days a week is what is being seen at the moment, or what we are noticing. But as a company, we understand that everyone will have different circumstances that define what is the commitment that they can do. So we understand that, and so we try to make sure that we give our employees, including our apprentices, that freedom to choose when to come in, of course, in line with what line managers and teams need them to do as well. So I'd say there's this flexibility that's there. If you ask me the number of days, I'd say 2 to 3 days in the office, and the rest from wherever works best. So for most of us, that would be our homes. So that's on Newbury. I guess if there's any apprentice who wants to add to the campus, to campus life, appreciate that some of you might have joined us in the pandemic.
So I actually moved to Newbury because of my offer at Vodafone. So like I do have the element of known as a Vodafone town, because a lot of people do move in for Vodafone, and that's where a lot of diversity comes in as well. So when I went into the Vodafone offices, it's massive. I was almost thinking that they just might as well provide accommodation there too, because it's just so big. And yeah, you did mention there is like a gym there probably, and other things from the top of my head. I went there recently, and it is still quite quiet, but it's active. But I won't say it's busy, because I've been told that pre-pandemic it was actually really busy, that you actually fight for meeting rooms and stuff. But yeah, it's a really nice place.
Amazing. And does it give you that? I mean, Kanisha,
Mhm.
you mentioned it kind of feeling like a university kind of campus. Do you feel, Vivian, that you've
Yeah.
got that kind of college university campus vibe there?
Yeah, honestly, because I'm walking from one building to another in the same space. So like if I want to go have my lunch, I have to go to a separate building, and then if I want to go back to where I was working, I have to walk there. So it's that element of like walking, interacting, networking as well with other people. Yeah.
Great. We've spoken about the office there, and Laura, whilst it may look like you're in the office, I'm going to guess maybe you are working at home. How do you find working at home as an apprentice?
Yeah, it's a background. It's quite convincing though. Yeah, I've obviously, so I started last year and it's been virtual since the start, and then we've had our offices open up in September, which has been great to go and visit a few days a week. And it's actually got to a point now where it's a really nice balance. And before, working from home, obviously it's hard being at home all the time, but now you sort of appreciate being at home and being in the office, and can get the best out of both environments, and really like tailor both areas to what suits you and your needs and your team's needs. But yeah, it's been good. Like Vodafone has offered a lot of support to try and keep everyone like as united as possible, And I think ongoing, they've sort of established a standard for home working, which allows us to like get our job done and look after our like environments and sort of mental health and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's been good, but it's definitely nice to get back in the office.